This is a story about waking up, not about losing, but about cutting away. Most of the time, women think they're managing a marriage, when really they're just feeding a beast that devours them. When the beast turns around and bites you, don't cry, don't ask why, look into its eyes, and pull out its teeth. I am Madam Reed. Welcome to the real world. The anesthesia was wearing off. The feeling was much like a beach after the tide recedes. Exposed, rough, carrying a briny smell. Kara woke up, more than the dull ache deep in her lower abdomen, as if scraped by iron instruments. What sobered her even more was a different kind of chill. This chill came from the phone by her pillow. The screen lit up, displaying Douglas connected, speakerphone. Kara, have you lost your mind? No greeting, no. Are you okay? The first words were a roar. Kara held the phone expressionlessly. Douglas's voice sounded particularly grating in this dead, silent room, carrying a kind of blustering brutality. What do you mean by those hints you posted on Instagram? Do you know Patricia had an emotional breakdown after seeing them and swallowed an entire bottle of anti-anxiety pills? If I hadn't found out in time, she'd be a corpse by now. What interesting logic. Kara had just been through a car accident, lost her child, her uterus damaged, and her husband at this very moment was morally judging her over another woman's emotional breakdown. In this world, some men can never tell the difference between people who are truly suffering and people who are performing suffering. Or rather, they simply don't care. They only care about who can better satisfy their vanity as protectors. Kara didn't speak. Her throat felt like she'd swallowed broken glass. Why aren't you saying anything? Feeling guilty. Douglas's voice dropped, turning into a kind of condescending weariness. I know you were frightened, but that can't be your excuse for hurting an innocent person. Patricia has claustrophobia and PTSD. She was just too scared that day in the car. As a wife, you've always been strong and sensible. Why can't you be a little more understanding? Kara's originally unfocused pupils instantly sharpened the moment she heard the words strong and sensible. It was a cold laugh triggered by an extreme sense of absurdity. Strong, sensible. These were the heaviest nooses hung around women's necks. Kara finally laughed, a barely audible breath of air. Douglas, her voice was hoarse, like something drifting out from a crack in hell. You called just to say this. What else? Am I supposed to praise you for nearly driving someone to death? Douglas's disgust was completely unconcealed. Delete the post, come to Long Island, and apologize to Patricia. Don't expect me to come home until she forgives you. What a familiar threat, using coming home as a reward to tame the disobedient wife. Too bad he forgot. That home was bought by Kara. No need, Kara interrupted flatly. You don't need to come home. What do you mean? I mean, I won't be going back either. Hung up, the phone screen went dark. Kara pulled the needle out of the back of her hand. Blood beaded up, and she casually grabbed a tissue to press against it. Smooth movements, without a hint of hesitation. 24 hours ago. Long Island Expressway, blizzard. The car spun out of control, crashed into the guardrail. Kara was trapped in the passenger seat, searing pain in her abdomen, warm liquid flowing down her thighs. That was the feeling of life slipping away. Patricia in the back seat was screaming. That ear-piercing screaming for the sake of screaming kind of sound. Douglas, save me. It is so dark. Help, she had only scraped her forehead. And Douglas, the man Kara had loved for 6 years. His first reaction after unbuckling his seatbelt was to lunge toward the back seat. Don't be scared, Patricia, I am here. Kara, half conscious, grabbed the hem of his coat. Her nails dug into the expensive cashmere. Save our baby, but he shook off her hand, extremely irritated. Kara, just hang in there. You are an architect. You've got mental toughness. Patricia can't handle this kind of scare. She recalled again Douglas carrying another woman, rushing into the blizzard, the car door wide open, cold wind pouring in, freezing that desperate gaze in the passenger seat. The doctor pushed the door open and walked in, interrupting her memories. Mrs. Wright, the surgery was very successful. Your uterus was saved. But unfortunately, you were brought in too late. The baby didn't make it. I know. Your husband. He is dead, Kara said expressionlessly. In the car accident the night before last, along with my dead child, he died. The doctor froze, then sighed and left. Kara took out her tablet. No tears. Tears were for the living to see. For the dead, all that is needed is mourning or revenge. Her Instagram had nothing posted. What Douglas saw was just a screenshot that woman staged with a burner account. He didn't even bother to verify it. Since she'd been convicted, she might as well make the charge real. She dialed a number. Calvin, it is me. On the other end was Calvin Hayes, New York's top divorce lawyer, and her childhood sweetheart. Kara, where are you? Draft me a divorce agreement, sue Patricia Miller for intentional harm. Freeze the joint account between me and Douglas. Give me 2 hours. Calvin's voice was steady, the only anchor in this chaotic world. Kara, welcome back. Kara pushed herself up from the edge of the bed, against the light. Her silhouette was thin yet sharp. Ablak Lincoln was parked downstairs from the hospital. Calvin wore a dark gray coat, holding a black umbrella. Snowflakes fell on his shoulders. He watched Kara walk out, his eyes holding a restrained ache. This was the most ironic thing in the world. The man who swore to protect you for life left you in the blizzard, while the friend you pushed away for your marriage was the one holding an umbrella for you in the storm. How'd you get yourself into this state? Calvin reached out and felt her forehead. Cleaning up trash always comes at a price. Kara got into the car. There was no sentimentality here, only the unspoken understanding between comrades. Back to the Upper East Side apartment, I need to grab some things. You sure Douglas might go back any time? He won't. Kara took a sip of the hot black tea Calvin had prepared. He is busy playing knight. In his mind, giving me the cold shoulder is the ultimate punishment. What a precise prediction. Arrogant men always think they're the sun, believing that as long as they withdraw their light, women will wither in the darkness. The car pulled into Manhattan, the penthouse on Park Avenue. The door was pushed open. The heating inside was ample. A skiing photo of them together sat in the entryway, an antique vase by the fireplace. It didn't feel like a home, more like an exquisite model unit. Kara walked into the master bedroom. She didn't take the jewelry Douglas had given her, nor those haute couture gowns that symbolized her identity as Mrs. Wright. She only took her documents, her laptop, and a hard drive locked deep in the safe. It contained all her architectural design drafts. That was her talent, her flesh and blood. For this marriage, she had kept them sealed away for 2 years. To be a perfect trophy wife, she had cut herself down to fit, squeezing into that shell called Mrs. Passing by the study, an unfinished nursery design lay on the desk. A cloud lamp sketched in pencil. A little rocking horse. Originally meant to be a Valentine's Day surprise. Kara picked up the lighter and lit a corner of the blueprint. The flames danced, devouring those gentle lines. The firelight reflected in her pupils, without warmth. Baby, I am sorry. Mommy promises. Those who hurt you, not a single one will escape. The blueprint turned to ashes, falling into the trash can, all packed. Calvin leaned against the doorway. Yeah, This house is under your name. I don't want things that are tainted. Kara picked up her suitcase. Sell it. Donate the money to a children's rescue foundation. This is what having vision means. Money can be earned again. Houses can be bought again. But something as disgusting as this, once it stains you, has to be completely cut out. At the elevator entrance, she ran into the housekeeper. Ma'am, sir just called asking about you. Tell him there is no Mrs. Wright here anymore. Kara tossed the keys onto the marble countertop, making a crisp sound. Only Miss Kara Bennett. Kara walked into the elevator. The doors slowly closed, shutting out that so-called home. In the car to the hotel, also, help me look into Patricia's real whereabouts these past few years. I'll ready on it. Calvin's voice carried a hint of coldness. That woman is far from as otherworldly as she pretends to be. Phone buzzed. A text from Douglas. Kara, stop throwing a tantrum. Patricia has been crying and saying sorry to you. Tomorrow night at the restaurant, we'll have dinner together and clear the air. Act decent. Decent. In this man's eyes, even if his wife just went through a life or death ordeal, as long as she didn't die, she had to stay decent. For his face, for that green tea bitch's feel. Kara replied. Okay, she turned off her phone and looked at Calvin. Help me prepare a big gift for tomorrow night's dinner. Calvin raised an eyebrow, happy to oblige. I suggest wearing that red dress. For occasions like this, blood makes it exciting. Kara stroked her empty belly. Not just blood, I want to flay him alive. Inside the restaurant, soft lighting, expensive tableware. Douglas and Patricia sat by the window. Patricia wore a pure white silk dress, draped in the man's suit jacket, timidly gazing out the window. A perfect white lotus. Some people use fragility as a weapon, tears as currency. Patricia was clearly a top-tier player among them. She looked like she could shatter at any moment, stirring up men's endless desire to protect her. Until a flame burst into the frame, Kara arrived, deep red velvet backless gown, 7-centimeter heels, makeup bold and fierce. She didn't look like a frail patient who just had a miscarriage. She looked like a queen about to be crowned. She pulled out a chair and sat down. Looks like I am late, Douglas frowned. He didn't like this uncontrollable Kara, too dazzling, too aggressive. Since you are here, just order. I hope you came with sincerity. Patricia isn't well. She can't handle stress sincerity. Kara's gaze shifted to Patricia. I heard you swallowed a whole bottle of sleeping pills yesterday, and today you are all energetic eating seafood. With that kind of constitution, even the Navy SEALs would have to bow down. Patricia trembled slightly, tears instantly welling up in her eyes. Kara, I know you blame me. The car accident that day was so sudden, I was really so scared. If I could, I'd rather it was me who got hurt. Textbook lines, first play weak, then guilt, trip, enough. Douglas glared at Kara. Don't be so harsh. Patricia is the victim. The doctor said she has severe stress response, victim. Kara laughed until the corners of her eyes turned slightly red. She is the victim. Then what am I, the perpetrator? Kara pulled out a manila envelope from her bag and slammed it on the table. With a smack, the diners around the mall turned to look. Open it and see. Kara crossed her arms. See how badly your victim was hurt. Douglas pulled out the documents. It was the medical records Calvin had retrieved from the hospital. Superficial abrasion on the forehead, mild concussion. Douglas read aloud, his expression grim. But what does this prove? Is the psychological trauma fake? Psychological trauma? Kara scoffed. Keep flipping, second page. A photograph, a well-known nightclub in Miami. The date shows the night after the car accident. That Patricia, who supposedly couldn't bear to ride in cars and was plagued by nightmares, was wearing a bikini, dancing with muscular hunks on the dance floor, holding up champagne, laughing so hard her whole body shook. Douglas's face, from confusion to shock to humiliation. He stared at the photo intensely, as if trying to burn a hole through the paper. Dead silence. Patricia's face went deathly pale as she reached to grab the photo. Number. This is AI generated. Someone's framing me. Douglas, you have to believe me. Douglas's expression wavered, but male pride wouldn't let him publicly admit he was a fool. Kara, is this your sincerity? He slapped the photo on the table, using AI-generated images to humiliate Patricia. When did you become so despicable? Despicable. Even with solid evidence, he still chose to believe the lie, because believing the truth would mean admitting that the person he abandoned his wife to save that day was a complete and utter fraud. Admitting that he was a complete and utter bastard. He couldn't do it. Douglas Wright. Kara's voice turned cold, like the wind on a Manhattan winter night. In your eyes, am I the kind of woman who would stoop to anything out of jealousy? Aren't you? He retorted. You'd go so far as to fake photos just to force me to come home. Kara, you've disappointed me so much. Fine, the last illusion shattered. Kara picked up the red wine that had just finished decanting in front of her. The deep red liquid swirled in the crystal glass, alluring, dangerous. Since you like cheap drama so much. Kara looked at Patricia's face full of provocation. Then I'll grant your wish. A light flick of the wrist, the red wine traced an arc through the air, splashing onto Patricia. The red liquid flowed down her blonde hair, staining that pure white dress, shocking to behold, just like the blood from that snowy night. A scream pierced the restaurant's elegance. Patricia jumped up, covering her face. Douglas shot to his feet, staring at Kara in disbelief, grabbing a napkin to help wipe Patricia off. Kara, have you lost your mind? What the hell are you doing? Helping her add some drama. Kara set down the empty wine glass, picked up a napkin, and leisurely wiped her hands. Her movements as elegant as if polishing a piece of art. That dress is too white, bad luck. Adding some red makes it worthy of her passionate personality. You are absolutely impossible. Douglas was shaking with rage. Apologize right now, or else what? Kara stood up, her aura fully unleashed. Divorce? Throw me out, Douglas. Did you forget? I bought that house, and I own 30% of the company's shares. If anyone's getting out, it is you. She pulled out the signed divorce agreement from her bag and flung it right at Douglas's face. The papers scattered like a white funeral. This drink, a toast to your nauseating kindness. Calvin will send a lawyer's letter tomorrow morning. Enjoy your dinner. After all, this might be the last time you are paying with my money. Kara turned around, her high heels making a resolute sound on the floor. She didn't look back, her retreating figure unwavering. Behind her was a total mess and the stunned gazes of everyone around. Walking out the restaurant door, cold wind hit her face. Kara took out her phone and sent Calvin a message. The show has begun. Back at the hotel suite, Calvin was already waiting. Documents were scattered on the coffee table, intense battle. He pointed at a wine stain on the hem of Kara's dress. Twitter is now full of trending posts about Upper East Side socialite throws wine and tears into scumbag at restaurant. Calvin handed over a glass of water. Public opinion is a good thing. That is exactly the effect I wanted. Kara kicked off her high heels. Since Patricia likes using public opinion to play the victim, I'll let her taste what it is like to have it backfire. Calvin handed over a document. Background check on Patricia. very interesting. Turns out, this avant-garde artist never actually did any creative work, but hung around wealthy circles abroad, conning people by playing the damsel in distress muse. The so-called depression and anxiety were nothing but scripts to control men. She came back to find Douglas because she owed gambling debts and had nowhere else to turn. And this. Calvin pointed to another one, emergency responder dashcam video from the car accident scene. In the blurry footage of the video, snow was falling heavily. Douglas's silhouette was holding Patricia by the roadside, while a few meters away, Kara's car door was tightly shut. She was inside, bleeding, waiting until despair. This is enough to prove Douglas was grossly negligent, possibly even constituting abandonment. Calvin's voice was calm yet cruel. If you want, I can make him lose everything. Kara closed the file, a cold glint flashing in her eyes. Ruining his reputation would be letting him off too easy. I want him to taste what it is like to lose all hope. What we're taking from him isn't just his reputation, but also the vanity and capital he relies on to survive. The next day, Douglas's world began to crumble. First, Wright Group's stock hit the limit down. Financial channels kept rolling broadcasts of last night's restaurant incident, along with the dirt on Patricia that broke right after "This is war in the internet age." No need for real weapons, just the truth. Douglas's calls came in like death warrants, texts, emails. Kara, let's talk. Things aren't what you think. Patricia only lied because she didn't want me to worry. Are you trying to destroy my company? Looking at these words, Kara only found it laughable. Destroy his company. This was just the appetizer afternoon. Kara brought Calvin and a team of bodyguards, marching into Wright Group headquarters in full force. The receptionist tried to stop them, but was scared off by a single look from Calvin straight to the top floor. The CEO's office pushed open the door. Douglas was frantically on the phone, and seeing Kara, he forced a thin smile. Kara, I knew you still cared about me. Last night was my fault. Save it. Kara sat down on the sofa. I am here today to inform you that, as the majority shareholder, I am demanding an immediate board meeting to remove you from your position. What? Douglas's eyes widened. This is my father's business. If I hadn't invested my dowry back then, this company would have gone bankrupt long ago. Kara looked at him mockingly. These 2 years of company profits, were they thanks to your empty promises or my designs? Douglas's face flushed red. He was a parasite who survived by sucking blood, and now that the host wanted to cast him off, he realized he had no backbone at all. Kara, we're husband and wife, not for much longer. Kara pointed at the divorce agreement on the table. Sign it, and maybe I'll leave you some face at the board meeting. Just then, the door was slammed open. Patricia rushed in, bandages on her face, looking utterly disheveled. Douglas, don't sign. She is tricking you. She wants to steal your assets. You again. Kara frowned in disgust. Calvin, show her. Calvin handed over the lawyer's letter. Miss Patricia Miller, we have evidence of you committing perjury in the car accident case, as well as facts suggesting you defrauded multiple wealthy businessmen. The police are already on their way. Patricia instantly went limp. Douglas, save me. I only came back because I love you. Douglas looked at her, doubt appearing in his eyes for the first time. Those things, are they true? Patricia was still being a stubborn duck with a hard beak. Ina. Kara stood up. Douglas, sign it. Otherwise, you can wait to go to jail. And don't think you can wash your hands of this. That day's car accident. Your actions constituted negligent infliction of serious injury, even though the baby didn't make it. At the mention of a child, Douglas jolted violently. Child? What child? Kara walked up to Douglas, her gaze both pitying and cruel. She gently stroked her lower abdomen. "Oh, forgot to tell you. On the day of the car accident, I was already 3 months pregnant. It was a boy." Douglas staggered backward and collapsed into the chair. Too bad he had a dad who only cared about saving his ex-girlfriend, so he didn't want to come into this world. Number impossible. Douglas clutched his head, letting out a beastly howl. "I didn't know. I really didn't know. There is plenty you don't know." Kara wiped away her tears, returning to coldness. "Now, sign." Douglas picked up the pen with trembling hands. He knew that once he put pen to paper, his life would be completely over. But he had no choice. In the hotel room, the curtains were tightly drawn. Kara sat in the darkness, like a statue. For 3 days after getting the signed agreement, Kara didn't leave the room. The thrill of revenge was fleeting, followed by a vast emptiness. She kept having the same dream over and over. In the dream, it was the summer when she was 18. Douglas riding his bicycle toward her, his smile bright. Then the scene shifted to that snowy night, his retreating figure as he held another woman and walked away. When she woke, the pillow was soaked. Day 4. Calvin forced the door open and pulled back the curtains. The sunlight was blinding. "It is not over yet." Calvin tossed over a newspaper. Headline: "High Society Dream Shattered. Former CEO of Right Group drowns sorrows late at night. Suspected suicide attempt over guilt toward ex-wife." The photo showed Douglas getting his stomach pumped at the hospital next to an image of Patricia being led away in handcuffs. "He didn't manage to die?" Kara asked, feeling nothing inside. "Tough luck," Calvin sneered. "Patricia's going to spend the rest of her life in prison. As for Douglas, he has been calling your name since he woke up, refusing to eat unless he sees you playing the victim." Kara got out of bed. "Since he wants to see me, let's go. Some scores need to be settled face to face." Hospital general ward. Douglas was huddled under the blanket, unshaven, looking 10 years older. When he saw Kara, his eyes lit up. "Kara, I knew you wouldn't abandon me." Kara dodged his hand. "Don't get the wrong idea. I am here to tell you the house has been sold, and I've packed up all your stuff and sent it over. Stop putting on this suicide act. Your life means nothing to me." Douglas froze. "Do you really hate me that much?" "I know I was wrong. I've been punished. No money, no company, for the sake of our 8 years together. Can't you forgive me just this once? Forgive." Kara took out an ultrasound report from her bag. It was done on the day of the incident. Originally meant to be a surprise. Now a memorial photo. This was our child, already fully formed. Douglas stared at that black and white document, trembling all over. "That day in the car, I begged you. I said my stomach hurt. Save the baby. What did you say?" Kara mimicked his tone from back then. "Kara, be stronger. Patricia is timid." Every word struck the heart. "Douglas, you killed him with your own hands. What right do you have to ask for forgiveness?" "Aha." Douglas let out a piercing scream, crying uncontrollably. "I am sorry. I really didn't know. There is no medicine for regret in this world." Kara turned and walked toward the door. "Live in hell with this guilt. This is my greatest revenge against you." She walked out of the hospital room. Behind her came the sound of something heavy hitting the floor, and wailing. Kara didn't look back. Downstairs at the hospital, the sky was bright blue settled, Calvin asked. "Yeah." Kara took a deep breath. "I want to leave here, go to Paris." "Okay, need me to take you?" "No need this time. I want to go on my own." 3 months. The rainy season in Paris was long and romantic. Here, no one knew who Kara Bennett was. She was just an ordinary architect, rediscovering herself at Jean Nouvelle's studio. That day, while working overtime on drawings, the front desk said someone was looking for her. Kara walked out of the studio. In the rain stood a familiar figure. Calvin wore a khaki trench coat, holding that black umbrella, just like 3 months ago in the snow of Manhattan. "Long time no see, Kara Calvin? What are you doing here?" "There is a case, and also to see you." "The coffee shop at the street corner? Did Douglas come looking for you afterwards?" Calvin asked. "Number, I heard he had a mental breakdown and was sent to a sanatorium." Kara stirred her coffee. "It has got nothing to do with me anymore." Calvin breathed a sigh of relief. He took out a velvet box and pushed it over. A ring with a unique design, not a diamond ring, but a miniature architectural model. "This is the model from your university graduation design project." Calvin said, "Kara, I know saying this now might be a bit too soon, but I like you, and it started 12 years ago." Kara froze. 12 years. During all those years she was chasing Douglas, someone had been quietly watching her from behind. "Calvin, don't rush to refuse." Calvin smiled, gentle and restrained. "I can wait." No matter how long, Kara looked at him, warmth welling up in her heart. But she knew she still needed time. "Thank you. But I am not ready to start a relationship yet. I need to heal myself first." That is okay? How about we start as friends?" "Okay, best friends." The rain stopped. A rainbow stretched across the sky. 3 years later, Lincoln Center Awards ceremony. The spotlight shone on Kara. She was confident, composed, and radiant. "Congratulations to Miss Kara Bennett for winning this year's Best Architectural Design Award." Kara stood on the stage, holding the trophy in her hands. "The inspiration for this building comes from rebirth," she said. "Everyone goes through their darkest moments. But as long as there is light in your heart, even on ruins, the most beautiful flowers can bloom." Below the stage, Calvin sat in the first row, clapping hard, his gaze still burning. These 3 years, he had always stayed by her side, not too close, not too far, never leaving, never abandoning. The banquet ended. Snow began to fall on the streets of Manhattan. "Kara." Calvin stopped. "Do you remember what I said 3 years ago in Paris?" Kara looked at him. The wounds of the past had scabbed over, grown new flesh. She was no longer that vine clinging to others, but a tree, and beneath this tree, there had always been someone guarding her. "So now, are you ready?" Kara broke into a radiant smile. "I think I can try to love again." Calvin pulled her into his arms. Douglas had just gotten out of the rehab center, with nothing, living off odd jobs. He watched the woman who once belonged to him, smiling so happily in another man's arms. That smile, he had thrown it away with his own hands. The snow fell harder and harder. Douglas tugged at his collar, turned and walked into the dark alley. This time, it was truly goodbye. The story ended. This was not just a story about revenge, but a story about cutting losses. That woman who was abandoned in the blizzard did not freeze to death that night. She burned the blueprints, splashed the red wine, and took back her dignity. Remember, when you find out what you are holding is a pile of garbage, throw it away. Even if it was once beautifully wrapped, even if throwing it away will dirty your hands, wash your hands clean. There are better things worth holding ahead. I am Madam Reed. See you next time.